I've started my new project. This is going to be a foundry, and this is a 16-gallon bucket that I got from Home Depot. It's 13 1/4 inches wide at the top, tapers to about 11 at the bottom. And here's the lid. I've already worked on it a little bit, but it had this handle across the top here. And what I did was I cut the handle off, and I've now got a hole here. I centered this hole. It's a 3-inch hole for that'll be my air intake. Now I wanted to have, that's why I didn't want the handle here. I didn't want it to I didn't want the intake hole to be on the side over here, or two of them. I wanted it in the center, so took that out, bored the hole. Now I've got these two handles that I've had from Home Depot, and just slightly bent the edges of them so they fit here. So I have one on this side and then one on the other side over here. So that's just the start of the mechanical. And this is what will go inside to form for my insulation on the sides. It's 8-inch form tube. We used to call it solder tube. So with the 11-inch bottom, I'll have quite a bit of space that'll be pretty good on the inside. Still working on this lid. These handles here are 5.5 inches from there to there by the way they're bent, and from here to here is 4, so centers are 2, and I've laid both of these out. And I've also, I don't know if you can see it, is a very faint center line. Let's see if I can see it myself on the camera. Well, you can see it right here on both sides, so I'll center the handles on both sides. This is how I'm putting the handles on. I've got a clamp holding it to the side of the lid, and I've got my marks lined up so the handles are straight. And as you can see on this side, I've got this one on, and it's this 3/4 inch tapping screws. And I'll show you the inside in a minute. Okay, so the handles are on both sides. They're not real strong, and that was done purposely like this. So I've got the screw penetrations here and here, and we're going to weld on the whole inside of this lid. We'll weld from the circle out to the edge and put steel rods in order to give support to the lid and to give the refractory cement somewhere to grip onto besides just the lid itself. So the handles here, these screws will also be in the refractory cement, and it'll give them the strength they need. So that's it for the lid for now. Alright, this is a continuation of the foundry build I'm doing. I picked up this bucket at Home Depot. I think it was about $16. I've pulled the lid, and in a previous video I showed putting the handles on it. Now I've put some supports in it. As you can see here, these supports here are just for holding the refractory cement, and the cup in the middle here won't be there. That's just the form also for the refractory cement that will fill there. And what we're using is this Miracle Grow Perlite is going to go in the refractory cement, and this is the refractory cement. It's a Rutland refractory cement. I think it's 2,000 degree, but with the perlite it'll be a much higher temperature than that. But this is it, and what we're going to do, I'll show you over here, is I've got some of the perlite in the tub here, as you can see. Get a little close, and then we'll mix the refractory cement in with it, And it's kind of caustic, so they advise goggles and rubber gloves, of at least protective gloves of some kind. So we'll get after it. Okay, so I'm going to start mixing this stuff. I got 1 cup in there, and here's the next one. And this is a hand mix. So get all this out of here we can. That'll be a throwaway. And it reminds me a lot of mixing the silicone mess. I think there'd be an easier way to do this, but I'm afraid there isn't. Trying to get all this mixed together so it's the right consistency. This perlite is actually a good insulator. It's used in some insulations in block walls. In this case, it's going to increase the insulating factor of the refractory cement. So my next objective is to try to turn that camera off. So there it is. We got this in. Didn't have quite enough mixed up, so we had to mix as we went, and we used up a lot more of the refractory cement than I wanted to. But there's the lid. Here's the next step. I put a hole in the side of this can I got at Home Depot, and just for future, I wouldn't recommend this. This is like 24 gauge steel, and it's galvanized, so it creates 2 problems. One, it's hard to do anything with it without caving it in, and 2, when you weld on it, it off gases and it's nasty and it will hurt you. So I would use a different container than this, but this is still going to be the same thing. I've got the hole there for this. This will go through and go into the side of the sonotube for when we pour, and that's what this cutout will be here. So I've just got that 2.5 inch pipe, and I've beveled it, and this is 8 inch sonotube. That's a preform for when you pour concrete, or like I'm going to do here. But anyhow, I got to cut this next, and that'll be that. And then we'll be ready to pour, maybe. Just a quick update on where I'm at with the foundry. I've got 1 inch fire bricks in the bottom of the bucket now, and some rock wool insulation around the edges, and there'll be some perlite on it, and then we'll cover that with the refractory cement here. Got a hole in the side of the bucket. Got this fabricated. This will hold the burner. It goes in here like so. Going through my form here so we can pour the mud around here between the bucket and this, and pull this when it's over. That's it for now. Okay, so here's where we are now. I've cut this form tube or sonotube to the length. I'm going to have it just a little bit above the top of the bucket. That way we'll be able to peel this off when the refractory cement sets up. And inside, as you can see, I've got my 2.5 going into it, and it comes just barely on the inside. And if you can see way down in there, that's the fire brick. And what I've done here is we've got refractory cement all around the edge now to help with insulation. And also over here, now I've got this screwed to the side of the bucket, because this bucket is so thin. That 24 gauge is just horrid stuff. Wouldn't recommend it. So anyhow, this is 14 gauge steel, and we're tech screwed through the side of the bucket so that it'll give it some holding power with the refractory cement. The 2.5 is welded here to the 14 gauge, and I believe that 2.5 looks like about maybe 16 gauge itself. So here now, what I've got, I welded nuts in 3 spots. Those are 5/16 nuts, and these are 5/16 bolts that go in, and that will hold my burner here when it's inside. And we just don't want to have this kind of just laying in the mud, because if you need to work on it for any reason, you won't be able to change it out. So this gives us the ability to pull that burner out, repair whatever, or change the MIG tip that's actually the burner portion of it. So I think this is going to work out good. So the next objective is to get this edge here. This is 2.5 inches at the top to the tube, and I think it's 1.25 inches, 1.5 at the bottom. So we'll have to mix our mud. So what I've done is I built this tool, and it's just a piece of 3/4 inch PVC with a cap on the end. The sole purpose of this is to pack this refractory cement and the perlite down in so we have no air gaps, because I have to get around this 2.5 inch, and I got to force that mud just underneath that and down around this whole side till we get to the top of the bucket here. And once we're up here, then we'll just kind of screed it off like you do concrete, and that should do it. And then it's just curing time. Then we'll do a after we peel the sonotube out and everything's set up good, we'll do a test fire and do a preheat of this, probably up to about 500 degrees, and just let it set for about an hour. Just cure everything out and hopefully prevent cracks. We'll see. I hope that works. So, you know, this is all an experiment for me. I've never built one of these before, but wanted to do it now. We're planning on melting. I've got a lot of brass, copper, gold, silver, aluminum. So it's going to be fun. So that's it for this little video, and we'll be back when I get this pour either ready to go or done. One of the two. Depends on a lot of things. Okay, that's it for this.